Okay, I'll count us in and we will start. So,
Cool.
in three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Live and Local on 91.7 KRTU. You know what we're doing. It's Thursday, 10 o'clock hour. So we are listening to Texas music and talking to Texas artists. We're changing it up a little bit this week. We're going into the beautiful world of film with some great folks from here in the San Antonio area, expressing themselves, putting Texas on the map and doing a great job. So would like to welcome Joe Luis Salinas and Juan Antonio Santa Anna. Thank you for joining us today, guys.
Hey, man. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us, brother.
Absolutely. And so the big event why we wanted to talk to you guys is you are debuting your film Off Course. So just give us, an overview. What's the film about, kind of like the elevator pitch, if you could.
Okay. So that's the easy part. Okay.
Yeah.
So Off Course is a psychological thriller told through the eyes of a hitman that gets haunted by the people he kills.
Nice. I love it.
That's
it. That's good. I mean, I'm really, really excited to see the finished project. And it's when did the shooting start?
Oh boy.
Wow.
Okay. So and I know Tony's gonna laugh already at this one, but basically it was March 17th of 2015, believe it or not, when we actually first started shooting with Kyle. And it was originally a 14-page short film that would have made no earthly sense if it would have stayed a short film. I'm just saying.
So that's a really long time to be working on one project like that. A lot of times we're in here, we're talking to bands and, maybe they're like 3 years into their material and it's driving them crazy. But I mean, to be working on something for pushing 7 years and then finally being able to release it to the public and have a finished project, that's got to be really exciting.
Yes, very much so. I was totally just psyched once we were able to get it to the finish line where we're at with it now. But I tell you what, Off Course was like probably the most, at the time, seemed most organized and professional that I had at my disposal to work with. It was honestly, it was a milestone. I had completed prior to that was a 30-minute short film called Wake, which I didn't do too bad on, and I was able to tell a story through shots with a 30-minute short film. So when I grouped together with everybody to want to create a feature film, the reason is because I knew eventually short films are cool. They're great calling cards for filmmakers and such, but feature films is really where it's at, where you can actually make a sellable product.
Wow. So, as somebody who's super ignorant to all of this, and Tony, I know you've been doing a lot of the editing. So like how many, or maybe for both of you, how many minutes of shooting equals 1 minute of feature film? Like what's the ratio? Is it like 10-1 or is it like 30-1?
Roughly, I would say. Yeah, I mean, usually there'll be like takes, like we'll do like 5 takes or whatever for one, maybe like it's like a 5-10 second scene maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have like maybe between 4 to 7 takes of a certain scene, and the scene's probably only like less than a minute. So
that's really cool.
That's kind of. But usually the last take is usually the one that we go with.
Yeah, that's the gold one we go with.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Usually, not all the time, but
gotcha.
Sometimes we got to cut around, see what's going on.
And there's some parallels though, right? Between film and music, like being in the studio and cutting things over and over again, film cutting things over and over again. It seems like there's a lot more people involved in coordinating stuff in film. I don't know, maybe that's just me. So,
there is a ton of people. Like
What's
The
it been
crew can
like?
get very big. Yeah, the crew can get very big if you want to make it very elaborate and stuff. Like you can start grabbing a lot of people. But I mean, if you really want to just concentrate on the film, the story, and what you're trying to do, like me and Joe, we like to keep it very small crew. So it's just the
Mhm.
minimal people that we need, and that's it. So that way
Yeah.
we're all concentrating on what we need to do, get the job done.
Got it. And
Mhm.
I think that Kyle has been there from the beginning. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kyle is
exactly.
the Adam of off course, as a reference to the Bible. He is the beginning and the end. Honestly, I wrapped with Kyle, funny enough, around March 18th of 2018. I wrapped with Kyle. I'll never forget it because it was the Afghanistan flashback scene that we needed to complete. And I just needed him and my other friend Mark, who was playing basically his war buddy. And never forget, it was a cold spring day, and but it was still hot. It was like one of those kind of hot cold days,
Mhm.
naturally, the chaotic weather. But yeah, it was crazy, man. I was living in a storage unit. I was homeless, and Kyle was about to take off about a week later to go live in Kansas. So there would have been no more Kyle to film with at all. And I
Damn.
basically, it was do or die. I had to finish the film with my Canon camera, and just the rest was basically history in that respect. And then when I finally got my stuff back together and all that good stuff, Tony came along and I showed him the entire project, and which he was amazed, and he thought, hey man, it's a pretty good flick here. Um, and he helped me finish the rest of the Afghanistan scene that we still needed to shoot
Yeah.
because they were like some snipers that are watching something. So like literally like a year later, we finished filming the rest of that scene.
That's super
Yeah,
inspiring, man, to hear about you guys' work on this and like, just grinding it out uh as independence. I mean, it's just really cool. And I think it's something that all of your fellow artists in Texas can, take something from and learn something from. I want to ask, what were some of the challenges because the shoot time was so long? Because you were going back and punching in, and how difficult or maybe not difficult is that? I don't know. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Um, I'd have to say the biggest difficulty was I kind of had to lose everything in respect with that. The crew couldn't really stick around that long. They were moving on to bigger and better things. I was able to at least get them with some other paid gigs with a fellow filmmaker friend of mine who's actually a guest director in Off Course, Mike L. Jackson. And so everybody was kind of moving on, doing their own thing. I myself was losing everything and living in a storage unit with a buddy of mine. And finally, that was probably the biggest challenge because there was a big gap in time from when we last filmed with the whole crew and everybody together to when I finally finished that final Afghanistan scene. I want to say there had to have been at least close to a year of time frame where I basically was just trying to figure it out as I went and stay in contact with everybody as close as I could.
Super interesting stuff. So, again, we are here with Joe Lewis and Tony, talking about their independent film, Off Course. It is going to debut Sunday, the 16th at Web House. Um,
yep.
we'll be right back. We're going to listen to some Texas music. We will see y'all after this tune. Coming back in 3, 2, 1. You are tuned in to 91.7 KRTU. This is the live and local show, doing nothing but listening to Texas music, talking to Texas artists. We are joined this week by some artists from the film world, Joe Lewis and Tony, talking about their film Off Course. So before the break, we talked, kind of about the elevator pitch for the show.
Mhm.
I also want to ask, like, what's kind of the deeper meaning, or is there one, or is like what's like the story being told, like what's the film really about at its core?
It is mainly about veterans and the struggle that they go through with PTSD. and like basically the struggle that they go through after they get out of the military. Because I'm a veteran and I had a very difficult time, I guess adapting whatnot back to, I guess, civilian life, and just dealing with PTSD and just trying to live normal. It's really tough, and this film kind of depicts the I guess the worst side of it. There is a bit of a suicide scene. It doesn't go through, but we're depicting like how he, like the steps, or not steps, but like the whole emotional roller coaster that took him to that point. And but it doesn't happen. But yeah, it's when I first saw the film that he did, and like we started fixing it up and we put the music in it, man, it almost made me emotional, because it's like I kind of felt what he was going through. So that, I think that scene is the most powerful scene in the movie. I think it's gonna move a lot of people.
Wow. Well, definitely in San Antonio, of course, we have a lot of veterans here in this community. That's a really cool story that you guys are telling there. And I think it's also really important too. That's probably something that doesn't
Yeah.
get talked about enough.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to premiere at Web House?
Well, honestly, Web House, and shout out to Web House and Mishka, the owner. Hell yeah. He was the first bar owner to actually open his doors up for us when we were filming Off Course way back when in 2015. So we were able to succeed in telling the story and bringing in the other powerhouse besides Kyle in this film, which is our good friend Isaac Duvon, who plays my boss Fazzetti.
Fazzetti.
Yeah.
Tony, please tell me what you thought about that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, man, that's just the best character ever, man. I just he keeps you laughing constantly. You just don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know what he's gonna say. I mean, he's just the most outlandish character you can think of.
And Fazzetti was in Wake too, wasn't he?
Yes, originally Fazzetti was birthed in the short film Wake. It was a sci-fi horror dark comedy. I had to make it a dark comedy because I had no idea where I was going to go with that. And I'll never forget, I phoned Isaac 2 days before he was about to move to Chicago. And so I told him about the idea, the concept, and he was like, yes, dude, I could totally do that. And he showed up and he basically helped create Fazzetti. And then he took off to Chicago. So there was about a good gap of time, almost a year before he came back from Chicago, started living in Austin. And at that point, we were probably already about maybe 25, 30% into Off Course. And so I started to tell him, hey, man, I've been writing Fazzetti in this feature film, and I told him the whole concept, and he was just ecstatic, and he was so lit and fired and ready to go, man. So it was like Fazzetti times 10 in Off Course. He carried that character so well. It's crazy.
I'm excited to see Fazzetti. It's like seeing an old friend, and me and the guys actually still refer to Isaac as the Italian, just like whenever we're talking about him, which is ridiculous, but
Hell yeah.
Cool. So yeah, premiere at Web House Sunday the 16th. Another thing I wanted to bring up. So I'm, pretty, not pretty. I'm 100% ignorant to all the film stuff, but I did take a film class, like a film appreciation class in college, and my professor said that if she had a $5,000 budget to make a film, she would shoot everything by herself and get her friends to do it and spend $5,000 on an editor. And so
okay,
we were talking kind of before we went live here about how important Tony's role has been as, like the editing supervisor. So just your thoughts on that statement and, Tony's importance to making the film what it is.
Yes, honestly, I would have to say editing supervisor / savior. Honestly, because and it was just that I reached such a point where I could no longer look at the film and figure out what was wrong with it. It's to where I couldn't see what was wrong with it anymore, and I needed a fresh set of eyes, and basically just let Tony take the rails on it. I said, listen, let's just go through it, man, and you just tell me where to cut. I'm just gonna follow your lead, at this point.
So we went through and we took an hour and 30-minute film, and I chopped it down to like an hour and 5 minutes.
Yes.
So there was a lot of shots that would just linger and just like, it's like, why is it lingering? So we just made everything get to the point, and the shots are more consistent. Everything flows a lot better. We put in the music that it needed, because there was some music that was kind of questionable.
Yes.
And yeah, but I mean, I'm still struggling with some of the audio bits. The I guess the dialogue parts, some of them weren't recorded very well, so we're just kind of stuck with what we got,
Yes. And in reference to the whole $5,000 of what your teacher was talking, your professor was talking about, funny enough, because that's usually the going rate for most, startup productions is $5,000. Tony, in my eyes, you're worth $1 million to me, man. But honestly, out of pocket within those 5 years of producing Off Course, I spent a little under $4,000 and was able to pull off a feature film, and super grateful. And I couldn't have done it without every single person, able body, that was there with me the whole time. Shout out to Beth and Josh. I couldn't have done it without them. Beth is our director of photography. Josh was the field audio guy. And it was all a learning lesson for all of us, but now we see it, and it's become a milestone for sure.
Awesome. Really cool, man. Well, I'm fired up. One more, kind of take about the film that I wanted to get. Joe, I guess you were, early 30s when you started making it, and now you're kind of like, mid 30s. I mean, what's that looking at the same thing when, it's almost like you're a totally different person now.
Now I'm the grandfather, right? I know. I was, let's see, 2015. I must have been like 30. No, I was about 30. So I was about 31, 32, somewhere around there. And now going on 37. And yes, I just told myself, it's like, never again would I take the same approach to making another feature film. And thank goodness, with Tony, we haven't made those same mistakes. And it's just because of Tony's professionalism, his know-how with audio and video mastering. It's the Night series has been what would seem like a breeze, but still is a lot of work as well.
Oh yeah, that's also been in the works for about 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, since fall of 2019. Yeah,
the Awakened Night series has been around since, been in the works since then.
Yeah,
and that's
Awesome.
our baby.
Yeah, let's jump into that. Tony, what can you tell us about the Awakened Night series?
Awakened Night series was a technical exercise I took on after Joe told me about his movie. I was like, man, I think we can make something, because he told me this story that kind of, I don't remember, I think it's just a bunch of different stories that I thought he wanted to make into different movies. And I was like, the more he told me, the more it sounded like an entire series. And I was like, dude, have you ever thought about making a series? And he's like, yeah, this and that. So I was like, well, why don't we make a TV series? It's like, but I want to make it professional, like a badass one, right? And he's like, well, yeah, we'll make it at night and this and that. And I was like, well, I had just started getting into like the whole nighttime filming and like lighting for darkness and all this stuff. So I just took on the challenge, and we went completely at night, and we try to film it as professional as we can and just do the best job we can. And I mean, the results are in.
That's cool. Yeah. So everything's shot at night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Minus like 1 or 2 scenes that we had in there because they would need to be during the day because of the story. But other than that, everything is at night.
That's a really cool concept. And Tony, what's your background? Is this, did you get educated in this? Is this something that you just picked up and learned yourself?
Yeah, film and photography is something I kind of just picked up and learned on my own, like, YouTube University. Just learn by doing. I've always really loved it. My dad actually, he passed away a few years ago, but he wanted to be a cinematographer, or the other title that Joe said earlier.
Director of photography.
Director of photography. Yeah, that was his dream, to be a director of photography, but he never had the money to do it and stuff like that. So I don't know, I guess it just came natural to me and I picked it up. The opportunity came around, that video started getting popular, and just in general, because I do own a production company and I do a little bit of everything. And yeah, I mean, it felt like the natural thing to do, and it was just a progression the way time was going. It's like everything's moving towards video. So yeah,
Very
I took the
good.
leap.
Very good. And I want to get both of your opinion on this here, kind of to wrap us up. So,
Mhm.
why is film something that's important to you? Why do you enjoy expressing yourself through film? What is it about film as a medium for artistic creativity that really speaks to you? If I could get both of your opinions on that.
You want to go first, Joe?
Okay. Well, for me, I've always felt that since I was a little kid, and you know how everybody asks you, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? And there's so many movies out there, you can't really say. But then I think it's like, it's the movie that you religiously watched as a kid and annoyed the hell out of your parents watching. And for me, it was Tim Burton's original Batman with Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson. And
Okay.
just watching that, like how much it inspired and captured me as a young 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid. And that's when I knew I wanted to be a part of filmmaking somehow, way or another, like just an actor at that time. But I always felt that it's important to tell a story thoroughly to where you can grasp a broad audience, no matter what age they are, so that they have something that they can remember. Life imitating life, so to speak, and that you'll be able to tell a story that'd be interesting enough for people to want to remember, to want to come back and watch years later and still feel that innocence of the way they first felt when they first saw it.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
And I mean, I started my whole career with music. I'm an audio engineer by trade at heart. That's my main thing. Had a recording studio and everything. But as the time went by with my studio, I started offering other services to my customers, like, because I saw that they needed photography, I saw that they needed music videos, mainly music videos, and that's what kind of sparked my interest in doing video. I was like, well, if I can make more money with these guys, what I'm saying, I just offering everything under the sun to them, so they just come to me and they get everything done. So yeah, I mean, uh, I don't know, like, audio to me is the main thing, but adding video just adds a different dimension to it. So that's what really got me. And honestly, I prefer videos or whatever without dialogue. I know Joe goes crazy over that, but I like silent films, kind of like how I like music that's just instrumental. I'm just more about the I don't know, either the visual or the audio of it. It's nice to have lyrics and that, but to me, I just like the other stuff a lot more.
Very cool. Well, quite a dynamic duo. Juan Antonio Santa Anna, Joe Luis Salinas, the feature length film Off Course, Web House, Sunday the 16th. Get out there and check it out, guys. Off Course. It's going to be sick. It's been a long time in the making. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys.